the structural directive ngIf, how we can switch between the views and work with the structural directive. We learned about one simple example on ngIf. Now technically another important, so we have a switch selector. So if there are many blocks of options to handle dynamically, then we can go with another important selector, another important directive, and that is ng switch directive. ng switch directive. Actually, the purpose of ng switch directive, the main intention of ng switch directive is, so it is a switch selector in UI, in the UI, switch selector in the UI. The main intention is, so it can display only the container that is required, that is required for specific situation. It can display only the container that is required for specific situation. That means it can allow to dynamically, it can allow to change the display dynamically. So that means the point here is, you can define multiple containers in a page. You can define multiple containers in a page. ng switch will select only the container that is required for the situation, and removes other containers. So from page, from DOM, you can say it removes the other. You can define multiple containers. Switch will select only the container that is required for that particular situation. Others are removed from the DOM actually. And actually how it is defined, for that we have three important options to configure. One is switch block. So one is a switch block. Switch block is defined by using ng switch. And switch usually have case block. So case block is defined by using ng switch case. And default block, you know that switch have a default. So default block is defined by using ng switch default. So you can configure that by using ng switch default. So technically switch is defined by using these options. So let's create one example syntactically how to define. Actually syntactically how we define this is, we usually have a main container. We will have a main container. So this main container contains child container. child container. So we have child container. So we are configuring the child containers. There can be multiple child containers, but we don't want to display all of them. As per the situation, we need to change. Then what we do is, so we configure a switch for the main container by using ng switch. Into that ng switch, we pass the value or expression. And it has to verify, is it matching with first container or second container? That means what we do is, if it is, then we have to define by using an asterisk ng switch case. If case is matching with this value, then it will show this container. So you can add any number of cases like that. If case is matching with the second one, so this is case 1, this is case 2. If the value you passed is matching with the case 1, then it will display only this and it will hide others. If it is matching with the second, it will display only the second and hide others. Actually, it is not hiding, removing others. And if it is not matching with 1 and 2, then usually what it will do is, it will use an ng switch default. This default will execute automatically when it is not matching with any one of the conditions that you have defined. That means switch is not matching with any one of these defined, then it will use it. I will give a simple example here, very simple example here. So then I will go into the complex ones. In the if demo, so I'm just adding a div here. And I keep a heading as a switch demo. First, I will show you syntactically how it works. So let's open this. So localhost. So localhost, okay, and 4200. Yeah, so you can see here what we want is above. I will show you how do we define the switch. The main container, we are using a div. So that is the main container. In this main container, we are defining, so ng switch. Okay, and it requires some value. In the main container, we have child containers. In the child container, we are defining cases. This is suppose 1. Okay, another div. This is 2. Okay, and another div. So I will keep here. Please enter 1 or 2. 1 or 2. Only those two are allowed. Now, generally what we do is, this is the case. Suppose here the value is 2. So now this is a case. The first container is a case. Then we define ng switch case. Ng switch case, if it is matching with 2. Ng switch case is matching with 2. Okay, this is first case is 1. Another one is ng switch case. This is 2. And this is default. Default is just defined ng switch default. Now you can see according to these, there are 3 blocks, 3 containers to show. But according to the switch, the main container will show only the sub container which matches the condition. That means it will display only 2. You can see it is displaying only 2. Suppose here I defined 1 and save. and you can see it will display only one. That means it will get and display only one. It is showing only one. If I entered something like 3, which is not matching with any one of these cases defined, then automatically default will execute. That means it will get that switch default and it will display, please enter 1 or 2. That is general approach of switch. This is a basic syntax of switch. So we have a main container. In that we have child containers. So it will decide which one to display according to the situation. So that is a simple syntactical example here like this. So if the main div, this is the main div, that is the main div. The main div contains 3 containers. This is container 1, and this is container 2, and this is container 3. Which container to display depends on this value that you have passed. Now let's implement this in one real-time example and see how we can manage the concept. Lot of interactions can be managed. I will design one example. So how we can handle this, one simple example. Then I will give you one task, you try to do that. Let's create one example first. So I will open an integrated terminal, and here I am adding ng generate component switch demo skip test. Okay, I'm adding a switch demo component. Let's keep this in the startup. So we will design one screen for this. Okay, and let's keep that switch demo in the startup. So we are configuring that switch demo in the startup. Fine. Now, technically, so we keep this switch demo here. Yeah, we are configuring that switch demo here. Okay, now let's run this and see. So switch demo is working fine. Okay, switch demo is working fine. So I have some assets, some picture here, some shoe. Fine. Let's create one example. I'm going to switch demo component. So in this TypeScript file, I'm adding some data. I have some data. Public product is the data. It's an object. And we have name Nike casuals. Okay. And we have some price. Some price. And we have some photo, that is some assets shoe.jpg, and we have some description, some paragraph like something about Nike casuals. So some paragraphs of information you can add there related to the content. So we have name, we have price, photo, and other details. Okay, some more description, something may be there. Now I want to display, but important is for every product, lot of details will be there to display. Then if you try to display everything, then it will be heavy on page. So first we will show the name and price. Okay. After that, if user wants to see the photo, then we can load the photo and show. After that, if user wants description about that product, then we can load the description and show. We don't want to display all of them and show, even it is not necessary. That means we need to implement something like lazy loading. Lazy loading officially we will learn later. So that means only the content that is necessary for that particular situation must be there on the page. Other contents must be removed from the page. So here, for that, I am designing a screen. Let's create a screen for this. So I am using a div and a class as container fluid. Okay. And here I am adding as a product details. Okay. And I will keep a div and just keep a class as btn toolbar, bg danger. So a button toolbar. Usually button toolbar will have a class btn group, a button group. It is having a button, and the button is so product details, product basic details. So we say basic details. Okay. And this button is having a class btn and btn danger. According to the background, we have another button. We have a class btn and btn danger, and this is preview. And another button. So we have a class btn and btn danger, and I'm defining as description. Or you can simply just keep this as more. Okay. Now usually a button toolbar, so that I designed in Bootstrap, it displays like this. So we have basic details, preview, and more. Now below this, I need to display that information. And what we are doing is just below this toolbar, we are designing a div. And here we want to display the details. So class as row and the style. I give margin top. So margin top margin is 20 pixels. Okay. In this, I am generating here a div. Here I am creating a class called all product details. Here I am designing a simple appearance should be clean. Then to make the appearance clean, what I will do is I will just design first. The div is empty, and we designed this div as a main container. So I will just put a comment for your understanding sake. This is the main container. This main container contains a lot of details about that particular product. We will keep all of them. So we will create info card. I will create a card div. Div will have a class called card. And here we have a div. So class card header. Card is a display style. And in Bootstrap actually, heading I defined. Here I want to display the product name. I can access directly product.name. Okay, and we have a div, and this class is card body. In the card body, I will keep here heading 4, where I want to display the product price. Product name and price are displayed in a card. This is info card. Card have a header and a body. So this is all presentation using Bootstrap. And I will create another card. This is preview card. In the preview card, so we will create preview card. I will put another div, and this is as a card. And here we just have div, and in the card we have class card body directly. In the body we want a image. So width 200 and height 200, and image source comes from the photo. Image source comes from product.photo. Okay, that is another card. This is preview card. Okay, I will design another card. So this is description card. These are all HTML comments. And div, and we have another class called card. And here I just define a div here and a class as card header. And here I kept description. In the card body, I want to show that paragraph. You can have some pointed list, bulleted list you can display. Card body, and here I want to display the description in a paragraph. That means product.description. It will get the description and show. As of now, once you look at this, you will find this problem here. The problem is everything is present inside this. That means everything is present. It's not mandatory to have card footers and all. So it depends on your requirement where you keep that information here. Right. So that means here we are configuring. So this is a div with the button toolbar. After that, we are having this row. And the row contains all the details to define here. And we kept that in that option. Suppose I given margin, only just margin as 20. That means in all directions, margin will be adjusted for that. It will be like this. And you can observe that here, all details are displayed at one place here. We have Nike casuals, we have its price, and we have a photo, we have description. Everything is at one place. So I want only the details that user want to see at a time. I don't want to load everything. That is the basic approach we need here. And we need to remove other contents, not to display at all. We want to just remove them. Then what we can do is, for this main, this is the main container. For this main container, we will put here, for the main container, we will put a ng switch. For the main container, we will put ng switch. That means it will switch these cards. Then every card is a case for us. That means we have to define ng switch case. Every card is a switch case. Okay. And we will put some value into those switch cases. Technically, every card is a switch case for us. And very important is we will give a name for it. So for example, first one, string. String means if a number you can directly define. It's a string. Switch case strings are defined in quotes again. Single quote, in a double quote, in single quote. And this is like info. So this is like info. Info is the name. Okay, fine. And the second card we'll have is another case. That means we need to define ng switch case. And this is like preview. Okay. You need to be very careful in the capitalizations when you are dealing with them. And another card, so we will define switch, ng switch case. And this card is more, something like this. Or you can give description or something. Now, very important is the main switch is passing a value. So main switch is passing some value. And if I directly define a value into the main switch, so into the main switch, we are passing a value. For example, I am passing info as a value. Into the main switch, I am passing that info as a string. Then you can observe that if into the main switch you passed info, it will look into this child containers and it will display only info. That means the basic details are displayed here. It is showing only Nike casuals, how much price it is. Later we will learn about currencies and all, how to put currency symbols and all. That comes under a concept called pipes. Now observe inspect element. What you need to inspect in the elements is, you can see that in the row you can see info card and preview card and more. 3 are there. And currently only one card is displayed with card header and body. And only one card is displayed, which is displaying that header and the body. And another card, other 2 cards are removed. They are not there at all. They are not there at all. That means they completely removed. Picture is not loaded, description is not loaded. That's good. Now very important is when user clicks preview, I need to pull up that card and show. On these button clicks, we need to access those details and show. Then how you manage that? So there are so many points. So many ways actually. Now, important is if you are a good JavaScript developer and you know event-driven approach, how to handle them. So, and how we manage this interactions, how we can configure these interactions. So we don't write here any kind of multiple events. See, 3 buttons are there. 3 buttons have to use 3 different functions. Means 3 different events you can write. But that is not expected from a developer, because so you are defining 3 different events. That means, see here, I will put a property selected view. Okay, selected view is info, that is selected view. Okay, now this selected view we will access and use here for switch. So it is coming from selected view property. That is working same because we are not directly mentioning. So selected view is this. If I change the selected view to more, then it should get me that particular details and show. It will show only that description. Card will come. So that means if you change the selected view, it is affecting the switch because we are passing a value into it. According to that, it is selecting the containers and it is showing the containers. Now our intention is on these button clicks, we need to change the selected view. When basic details is clicked, it has to put selected view as info. If a preview is clicked, then it should put selected view as preview. Then generally, you cannot think for writing 3 events, means 3 functions. Because when you write 3 functions, means 3 different functions need to be called. 3 different functions need to be called. Separately, memory need to be allocated. we can manage that. That means we don't need to define three functions actually. First, I will show you that. So let's take an example for your understanding sake. Here, I will open this code. A simple HTML JavaScript example I am showing you. So the head and body, to understand this concept, right? To implement this, if you are strong in JavaScript, directly you can understand, otherwise you need to see. Suppose we have a button. So this button is having an option called insert. So another button is having update, and another button is having delete. That means three buttons have to perform three different functionalities. Then in the script, we will not write three functions. We can write only one function called some database. This function can be accessed by all the three buttons. On click of insert, database function will be called. Good. On the click of update button, here also database function will be called. That means all are calling on click, all are calling the same function. All are calling the same function. That means if you define any functionality, they will do the same work. But I want all the three buttons to use the same function but handle different functionality. Then usually we have to tell the function which button clicked. We have to tell the function which button is clicked. We need to tell that. That means now what we do is, for every button we can have a name. This is insert. This is update. And this is delete. Every button can have a name or an ID or any unique reference. This is delete. Now on click event, we can send this name. We can send this name to the function by using this keyword. There are two event arguments. Later I will tell you event binding. There I will discuss about detailed event binding. This is a keyword which sends the information about current object, and event is another keyword which sends information about current event. Current event is on click. By using this keyword, we can access, that means this will send the current object related properties to that function. Current object related properties will be sent to function, right? That means now what happens here is, here we are accessing an object. This refers to current object. Current object means the button object. Now this button object have a property called a name, which you can access by using obj. Then here we will write a simple switch. If obj dot name, that means obj contains the information about the button related all properties we can access by using this obj. We will pass that obj name into the switch, and we are expecting case. What is the first case? So first case is if it is insert. That means if the object name is insert, then document dot write, we have to say record inserted, and break. And we have case 2. So we are defining case. This is update. So document dot write. So it says record updated, and break. And case 3. So that means case delete. If it is delete, then document dot write. So it should say record deleted. That means now you are sending the object related name. Based on that, we are handling operation. We don't write three functions for three buttons. We will write only one function and we can handle three different functionalities. Now I will open this design. So I'm accessing this. Let's open in a browser and see. And I will click on these buttons at C. So we have insert, we have update. I click on update, then it says record updated. I click on delete, it says record deleted. I click on insert, it says record inserted. This is the approach generally we follow. We don't write hundreds of functions, but we write a function which can manage different functionalities. One function can work for three buttons with three different functionalities. That is the basic approach. Generally, all are related type of operations, then better to go with this kind of technique. And this is what you have to follow in this example now. But unfortunately, here in TypeScript, already this is in TypeScript, already this is a keyword. So you cannot use this keyword to send the information about this object. We can send the information about this object by using a $event in Angular. I'm talking in Angular. In JavaScript, directly we send this. So current object related details you can pass by using $event in Angular. So not this. So we have to use only $event. Later, when we learn event binding, we will detailedly discuss about those options also. So what I'm doing now is for these three buttons, I will give a reasonable names. One button name is info, okay. Another button name is preview, okay. And another button name is more, something. Now on click, they should call a function. We will write a function here. So public, and a function is a change view. Change view function will be called. This change view function is expecting a object. Change view is expecting an object. And this change view is used by all the buttons. That means on click, it has to call change view. Into that, it should send the button related all properties. Then we have to use a $event. Actually, in JavaScript, we use this by using this keyword, we can send. But here we are using so $event. Angular uses $event. Now in event binding, I will tell you the same thing we will do here. So we will do here all the same. That means all are pointing towards the same function. And that particular function related attributes, usually the function related attributes you can access, means that object related attributes you can access in this function. So that obj is collecting, you can see this is passed. That obj is collecting the object related properties. And here we will write a switch. Into the switch, we will pass obj.name. Name is coming here. So name is the property. And we know that. So if obj name, we can use a switch, or very simple. If you no need of switch also, because the button names we maintained same as the case names. That is very good. So same as case names, we maintain the button names. Then we can access the button name and apply to selected view. That means this dot selected view is equal to obj dot the object related properties are accessed by using target dot name. That means the target, this is pointing towards an object. Object means it is pointing towards that button. The button name you have to access by using target property. That means it will point towards the target object and it will get a property name. And in the name property, whatever value is there, it will bring that value and it will use in selected view. By default, selected view is info. By default, selected view is info. When you click the button, immediately what happens? When you click preview button, then what will happen? This event will fire up. This function will be called. That means change view function will be called. And button related properties are passed. And it will collect the button name. And the button name of this particular button is preview. And that name is applied to selected view. That means selected view is preview. If selected view is preview, then it will send preview into this switch. When it sends preview into the switch, it will see, is there any case by name preview? If it is there, then it will display that card and stop. Now you can see that everything is ready here. I click on preview, then preview should come. I click on more. That means, so we can define, right? So that means we can access that, right? That's what I said just now. We cannot pass this keyword, right? So this is a reserved keyword. We cannot pass this keyword. We have to use event, $event. And you learned TypeScript very well for so many days. This is formal parameter, not actual value. If you remembered, Ankit Gupta, remember, it is a formal parameter. Yeah, then formal parameter can be any name, but you cannot use keywords like this, if, else. That is general basic knowledge of programming. Na? You know that. Right. So here the point is, whenever the page loads, which view will come? Whenever the page loads, which view will come? Whenever the page loads, which view will come? So whenever the page loads, info view will come. Yeah. Now, I don't know why you said, right, we don't need to mention a default value for selected view. If you don't mention a default value for selected view, what will happen? No view will be displayed. So by default, we want one view to display. Later, we need to switch between the views. So default, there must be some view to display. You can't keep an empty blank page on your website, right? That will be like nonsense programming, right? So you need to put some default something inside the page. You can't keep an empty page and say that, so now you select, I will show you some options, right? That means we need to keep some default content into that, right? That is what we are doing here. And I click basic details, it gets basic details, preview, it gets preview, and more. That means we are handling the views and displaying the views. Here, the combination when you are dealing with the combination and working with that is so important is every time when you press the button, so is the page loading? Is the page loading here? Can you see the refresh button? Is the page loading here? Then you got the answer, right? Right. So that means this is not loading the page. This is not loading the page. And what about the elements? What about the elements you are configuring here? And in the elements, you can see by default, the card, this is the card for description card is coming. Description card is coming. And when I click on basic details, then that card is removed and only the basic details card is coming. Others are removed and it will display only this and only this image card is coming. Preview. So we can flip, we can switch. So based on the condition, you can use any control. You can use any control. It's not like you are using only buttons for this. You can use any control. So like you can put a drop down. From the drop down, you can collect the value. Such examples we will see in the next level. You can use any combination here, right? Now, important is based on this, we can handle a lot of manipulations. Here, our intention is how to switch between the views. How do we configure and switch between the views? That is the basic example. So we can do a lot of manipulations. Suppose I need to provide a sequential approach. I need to provide a sequential approach. So we need to add some sequential approach here. So that the previous and next options also we can display there. That means sequential approach is nothing but, suppose you are displaying some content there and you want a sequential approach like next and previous options we need to configure here. So that means, for example, I am adding a div and I put a class as BTN group. Okay. And we have a button. So this is previous. So you can put some icons, symbols, and we have a button like next, right? So previous and next options are there. So generally, what we need here is class as BTN and BTN danger because it is in the same button toolbar, BTN and BTN danger. Okay. And this button toolbar will justify content between. Will justify the content between. And so that the previous and next options so will be here. Right side, we are adding that right side, previous and next options are there. We can use reasonable symbols there. So symbols. Actually, if you want such symbols to handle, then you need to download and enable another library called Font Awesome. So Font Awesome. So this is very commonly used library for symbols. It is free open source. It provides a premium facility also. What is this Font Awesome is you can get a collection of several symbols and you can use those symbols. See, Angular developer, Java developer, .NET developer means not just writing the program. He need to have good skills in presentation. Otherwise, you cannot handle anything in real world requirement without the interface. Without interface, you cannot manage anything. Like many people say, I know Java, but I don't know JavaScript and HTML. That means you cracked the biggest joke seriously. That means what you are talking about. Many people say, sir, I know advanced Java, but JavaScript, HTML, I don't know. Right? He thinks that he done a PhD, but he don't know the basics of ABCD. Right? That's like joke, seriously. That means in real world, we laugh at that skills. People say, I know Java, I know .NET, but don't know HTML, JavaScript. That like it is time to laugh now about their skills. Right? What you are talking about. That's the reason many people ask, sir, do I need to learn CSS? Sir, do I need to learn JavaScript? You have to do. You have to, because in real world development process, the development, not just writing the code, the presentation is important. You should know all of these skills. You should be aware of them. Otherwise, you cannot handle. Even in interviews also, if you are attending any Angular interview, then what they do is once you're done with your first level on system test, they will give you some screen presentations and they will say that this is our data. Data comes from here. You need to create these presentations and send us. They will give you 1-2 days even time so that you can design that entire screen layout design and send them. That means you need to explore a lot of presentation skills. So otherwise you can't handle real world options. Logic is important, but presentation is more important at the client level. So that's the reason you have to be aware of all this. Font Awesome is one very popular library for open source free library for symbols, icons. What you do is open fontawesome.com. The process I will show here. So the Font Awesome library, this is Font Awesome. And in the Font Awesome, you go download, start for free. You can get the pro version, which is paid version. You will get more icons. Free icons are enough at learning level, right? Start for free, and you have to download. You have to download Font Awesome for web. You have two options. This is for web. This is for desktop. Left side you can see Font Awesome. You can access this. Usually, if you download, then it is available offline. You don't need every time internet connection. You can easily access it. So what we do here is we will download this. So we download this GIF file. So Font Awesome, when I click on download, it downloads the Font Awesome GIF file. So you can see Font Awesome for web. You can see all these repositories downloaded for you. So you download this Font Awesome free for web. Okay. Font Awesome is downloaded here. So, and once it downloads a zip file, what you have to do now is go to this folder, means it is in downloads folder. Go to the downloads folder, extract this Font Awesome here, extract the Font Awesome zip file here. And after extracting it completely, now copy its a subfolder, all the folders you copy, and go to your project location. Our project location is, so our node modules is there, right? Go to our project location. This is our project location. So this is our project location. Open in Explorer. And in the projects, we have node modules. In node modules, create a new folder. Create a new folder by name fonts. Fonts. In that fonts folder, you keep this all here. Means I'm copying all those options here. So then you can get some symbols. So icons and symbols, every day we will use them to make the presentation better. So what we will do here, these are all fonts. So in node modules, fonts, I copied Font Awesome. In that CSS, all .css, which contains all CSS symbols actually. So we need to keep in the Bootstrap location where we kept for our project. So that is styles.css. Here I linked Bootstrap, if you remembered, and there I need to import this also. I need to import, right? So here I need to import. So what we have to do, import, and we need to import from node modules, / node modules. In that we have fonts, CSS, in that all .css. This is the Font Awesome library specially designed for icons. Once you got that library, what you can do here is, first time it is difficult to remember all the icons. What you do is, see, there is search icon option. Here you search for previous. I search for previous, and you can see it will show the class name for that previous icon. You can see the icons will come. So we have backward, forward, some icons are present here. You can see some icons. Arrow, circle left, arrow right. You can use these icons, right? Chevron, circle left, chevron, circle right. You can use this. And some are pro, means you have to buy them. Some are pro, you have to buy them. Left angle, right angle, we can use them. We can use the combination of these. We can use the combination of this and implement them. So you can see these are all the options we have. We can implement. So what I will do is, so arrow circle left, arrow circle right, or we can use these symbols there. How to use the symbols? Actually, once you have Font Awesome working, suppose you see Amazon. So here I want to put some heading. So instead of product details, I will go at the top and I am adding a heading here. So this is Amazon shopping. Okay, and here I want a symbol just beside. So here I will put a class as primary. So text primary. Okay, primary and text center. Okay, and this is the basic design. That means basic we have here. Okay, now what I do here, just beside that heading, if you want a symbol, put a span. In the span, we have to use a class, and font awesome starts with FA. And FA, shopping cart, we have shopping cart. So I'm using shopping cart. That is the font awesome option available. Then it should get that shopping cart symbol and it should display that shopping cart symbol there. That means it will get and display that symbol there. You cannot use pictures every time. It will make your application heavy, images and all this. Now, similarly, I want previous and next buttons to show some icons there. We want to display some icons here. Then what we do here is for the previous and next, instead of this previous and next button, I will put a span now. And here we will put a class and the class as FA. And FA, so we have what is that previous? We have left arrow, right arrow. We have an option. This is chevron circle left. And I will use that. So FA hyphen. So that is chevron circle left. And the same thing I have to define for this is a span. And I need to put a class and FA. So chevron circle right. I'm using this circle right, circle left, this. And you can see that those symbols will be applied for this content there. You can see that the previous and next options will be available. Now, important is when I click this button, this is the next button and this is the previous button. And when I click those buttons, I need to switch these views. That means currently it is in info. I click on next, it goes to preview. After that, click on next, it should go to more. And previous, it gets to the previous. You can go to the views, you can configure and we can access sequentially. How we can access sequentially? We need to write for these two buttons also. So then what I can do now is in this example, how we can manage is suppose, so let's go to the design. Yeah, let's go to the design. In the design, what we are doing is, so let's go here and write simply, we will create one array. So public, and we will create views is an array. And the views is having, one is info at index 0 and preview is at index 1. And another one is more, that is at index 2. That's it. Now we will write two functions here. So, and we will write a count. So public count is initialized to 0. Okay. Now I am defining here public next click. When next click happened, what should happen? This dot count plus plus, it should increase by 1. And what we will do is, so this dot selected view is equal to, it should get from views array, this dot views array, into that we will pass this dot count value. That means whatever the view name is there, it will get the view name of that particular count and apply to this. The same thing we need to do for next previous. So that means previous click. On previous click, this dot count minus. Now important is, if it is more than length, then stop at the last. That you have to try by your own, right? Selected view. This dot views and this dot count again. That means the count is updated when user clicks the previous and next buttons. And I want next and previous functions to call. So when user clicks on these buttons, that means on this button click, it should call previous. And on this button click, it should call. So next click. Now, one more important point is you have to write a small logic here. If count is more than the length, then set it to length. It should not allow to go next. If count is less than 0, then stop. Don't allow to more decrement. That condition you have to try by your own. You write by your own. As of now, see here. Now I am clicking on this next button. Then it should get me the next view and display. And click on the next again. It should get me the next view and display. I click on previous, then it will get me the previous view and show. So that means it is switching between the views in a sequential order. We are accessing that in a sequential order. So that means you can disable. Yeah, we can disable button 2. So what we have to do, if it reaches maximum, then put a property disabled. And I already showed you how to disable the button. We can keep it disabled and we can set a Boolean value into it, true or false. We can disable the buttons, we can lock the buttons. All that depends on the logic that you write there, right? So everything rest you have to try by your own according to the requirements we need to define them, right? So in different examples, different scenarios I will show, but rest of implementation work you have to do by yourself. So that makes you perfect in handling this type of examples. So this is the basic option of how do we deal with the switch. So how we use the switch, what is actually the purpose of switch? Here we are completely depending on the presentation, how to switch between the presentation and use the presentation, right? Now, how do we work with this? So more in different types of examples that we will see in our next session, right? So this is just, yeah, you can install using NPM, but when you install using NPM, then you can get pro version and you can get the free version. If you have installed the pro version, then again problems will come related to some icons will not work. So we don't take a chance for that. That's the reason we install. You can directly use CDN also, right? You no need to even install. You can directly use CDN of Font Awesome. That will be enough if you want. Understood? Right. So this is one basic example of how do we deal with the switch. Now, based on this, I will give you one task. I will post one task in the classroom today by the end of the day. So I will post one exercise to you. So you try to do that exercise according to what we have learned, right? So yes, I will define step-by-step notes of how to install Font Awesome, right? So once you are perfect with this, then we can go with more complex examples. So this is just after all a beginner level example. You have just seen a beginner level screen. So in Angular, so you can do more complex, more complicated. For that, we need to add some more functionalities. So we have learned how to use switch. Now we will see the other options, how we can deal with iterations and all. That we'll see in tomorrow's session. Okay. So I will post this entire example in our classroom. Then tomorrow we can continue. And tomorrow we will see one more option, how to use for, right, iterators.